You can't see my face. It's okay. But it's dark, that's why. Otherwise, I'd have the camera front facing. But, yeah, I'm out walking around late at night. And actually, I've been taking the bus, too. So, but, well, late at night, the final bus does not go to the bus terminal. It goes nearby, though. It takes me as near as Milam and Pier, which is, or Pier, whatever. So, it's spelled like Pierre, but I think they say it Pier. Pierre. Anyway, and it makes sense because it's usually like the very last stop of the route of the night. Doesn't always go to back to the terminal. It goes to the bay where it parks overnight. So anyway, there's our Sports Tran station, but not just Sports Tran, Amtrak. There's a shuttle that will take us to the Amtrak, which is not in our town, but technically it is. The Amtrak shuttle is free if you have a ticket and will take you to Marshall, Texas, I think is where it is. And then, so I'll check that out at some time. And then, of course, Greyhound also departs from here. It's a great hub. I liked it better when the city bus was located directly in the middle of downtown, but I also like the fact that all these shuttles and hubs can be accessed at the same point. So like your Greyhound, you can make a connection to a city bus or to an Amtrak. You can actually, so that's kind of neat. And of course, right here is city courthouse and police station. And I could have actually went in that direction and went to Bayou Grande, but I do not know. I chose the path of the brighter light because it is about 2 in the morning and I am not stupid and I am walking with my gym backpack. But never you fear, my pretties. I was like literally just a couple of blocks from right here, and this is where I would be walking late at night anyway, coming from the bus, taking the walk up home. So yeah, so that's actually a city courthouse, and that is the city police department. And I think they're raising funds for, improved quarters. The city police department at this location has structural flaws, and it's almost going to be easier to rehome and redistribute the police department than it is to to come in here and retool this one. They'll probably do something with it anyway, but yeah. The other day I was noticing a police department sign on the side of the old building downtown, so it's so weird. Hang on. This is the part of this downtown area that I'm very familiar with. There is ironically just across the way, just like this is Murphy, turns into Stoner, I believe, yeah. But anyway, that is I think that's the current state building, and they're moving everything downtown. They just approved, like the first phase of it was to strip everything down to the beams, to the bare beams, the bones, if you will. And so the second phase, which just recently got approved, was going to be to do the structural. They took an assessment of what was needed, including sprinklers for the fire, codes and everything like that in various parts of the building, upgrade it and everything like that. So they looked at architectural needs and code needs, and they reassessed what it was going to cost in the current market, because when they first decided to do this, it was pre-COVID, and now it's well, we're not done with COVID, but definitely the pandemic part of it, we're kind of done with it. But yeah, so and then I'd love to get over here and check it out sometime. I don't know if it's a museum or just someone's personal private collection or something, but look, there's it looks like a Bob's Big Boy in there or something like that, or a Texaco, or golf. Someone's got a pretty, I don't know if that's their decor, but yeah, I don't know what that's about, but it's one hell of a calling card, and it's neat to have something. And I'm not even like a car guy, it's we're almost at the part where I'm going to be able to show you the municipal auditorium, but it's just right around this curve here. But I want to get to a place where I can show you something that's really awesome, because we're nearing, well, it's but past midway of September. We're moving into the spooky season. It's almost October. And what happens is, one of these buildings up here, just about every year, they take it and turn this whole old creepy building into a monstrous Halloween jam. And I am too cowardly for haunted houses. I will sit and watch horror movies and everything. Let me tell you, if I get talked into going through a haunted house, I'm going through with my eyes closed, and I'm clenching somebody's arm and probably running them over into the wall as I'm trying to get the hell out. It's like, let me out, because I'm running without even looking. I'm not looking, and I just don't want that trauma. So great big giant chicken. Kiko. We love this guy. Okay, so that building is right around the corner. So let me pause the video and yeah, be right back at you. Oh, the office of one of our great magazines, the 318 Forum. That'll tell you everything local going on in Shreveport. If you just happen to be in a doctor's office or just anywhere and you need to peruse something for some light reading, you'll come across that. And if I am not mistaken, well, yeah, it's this building or another building on the corner. People live in some of these buildings, and they look old, but they're not businesses anymore. But they're still in use, like this one, still in use. Let's see what it is. I know coming through the daytime, I'm taking a bus a lot of the time, and I'm really just not paying that much attention. Let's see. Yeah, Caddo Parish Communications District. I don't know what it is that they do, but somebody must, because obviously it's communication. So maybe parish records or something. This is a really awesome church. I'm gonna show you something when I peek up on it. And this is kind of cool. They have like little gatherings and festivals here sometimes, and this is an art gallery right here. It doesn't really look like it, but yeah, CNC Mercantile. It's just a knick-knack kind of everything, and it's cool. One of the things I don't like is that they take books and they take the inside of the books out and use the cover, and they make glass flowing and everything. But they make journals and papers and things like that, with the cover being on the outside, being like some classic literature. And I'm kind of like, I don't want to see books get, misused or whatever. But this, believe it is St. John's. I'm getting looked at. Way to go, guy. I couldn't look more suspicious. Like I'm a white guy walking around in this side of the town, which is primarily non-Caucasian. But I don't know. It's like, okay, so, okay. I just love the architecture here. It's great. It's great. And it's just, wonderful. Beautiful, Gothic, wonderful. We have these wonderful structures here, and I love them. I want to go over and read that plaque, but I don't want to look like I'm invading, so I'll keep going. Maybe I'll check it out sometime in the daytime. There's another one up here that there's a story behind that I'll tell you when I get a little closer to it. There are some cool things that happen here too, because this is a church, and I do believe they probably still do some, some caretaking, like a drop-in center for transients or anyone who happens to be in need and everything like that. I need to go back over and just not so much to use the services. I mean, I get food. I'm not having food insecurities or anything, thank God, right now. But of course, that is, I'm a single person living on a single budget. And, nobody really does anything alone by themselves, but I actually don't have food insecurity. But just for being able to say, hey, to my friends that I do know, I'll be able to say, you can come here if you're willing to be ministered to a little bit. You can come here and you can get some assistance. Or if you're willing to be ministered to, you can come to the Lovewell part of the hub and be ministered to for a little bit. Or if you're outside and you need to not be outside, you can go to some of the places that can give you a referral to the shelters, or walk into the shelter or whatever like that. And basically, if you really are at a loss of what to do, they have programs that can help people get up on their feet, get their bearings. Basically, the work has to be the work of the willing person, whether it's job, disability, basically saving resources until you're able to step out on your own. The discipline of all that has to come from inside of the person. So this is the McAdoo. It used to be independent living. Then Volunteers of America was on the third floor for a while, and that is when I first came home from my stay in the mental ward of LSU, the state hospital here, which basically short term. But I was like, listen, I'm not leaving until I'm at this point, and this was a long time ago. I was like, I need to have a foundation. I'm not going to let you just bring me in here, keep me for 2 or 3 days, and then turn me back into the same situation that's going to make me feel depressed and lacking of all hope ever again. So I'm not going to do it. So I've worked with the social workers, and I'm not going anywhere until I'm going somewhere, you know. And sometimes you just have to, if you find yourself in that situation, they'll talk to you and they'll say, hey, how do you feel? Are you know, and sometimes you just have to dig in and you say, you know what? It doesn't really matter how I feel because I know what's going to happen as soon as you turn me loose. And I want change, and I'm willing to do whatever there is, whatever I have to do. I want change. If I can't have change, and there is no change, and you tell me there will be no change, and I know there's going to be no change, then I want an end. You know, you have to, you know, sometimes you really just have to say what you feel, and you can't hide, and you can't be, you know, any sort of social illness or mental illness or anything. You can't shy away and you can't downplay it. Just like if you go to a doctor and you're suffering from a physical ailment, you can't go to a doctor and tell your symptoms and then he give you something and then you go back to him and he says, how do you feel? And you're like, I feel better, and you really don't, or you're not, well, you know what I mean? You just have, you can't, like, it's not a matter of, well, I better say I'm getting better so that I don't make the doctor feel bad and so that I can have a sense of pride and that I don't have to feel like a failure. You know, sometimes illness is not a matter of success or failure. It is a matter of being sick and needing to get the proper treatment, but the proper treatment cannot happen if the patient cannot really advocate for himself. And in the case of mental hospitals or mental wards in regular hospitals, a lot of time that doesn't happen. But McAdoo is really good. McAdoo is not a hospital. It's a place where people can go to live. And they helped me. And I lived on the 3rd floor of that building in a private room. I had my own private room and everything, shared kitchen and everything. But, you know, they kind of like, it was shortly after I had a stroke. I do know that. I had a stroke, but I remember the incident, but I don't remember much about it because I was very high, you know. And I was possibly 35ish, 36, you know, around that time. I know it was towards the end of my drug use, because I am thoroughly in recovery now. There's a point to all this. I'm going to get to it in a minute. Really, there's no point. I just saw the McAdoo and started talking. Oh, this. Where are we? Beep, 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 beep. Totally passed it up. Totally yacked. No, it's over here. It's over here. Here it is. Here it is. It's hiding behind the trees. This church. Okay. So just as I'm walking over, let me get back. But yeah, I had a stroke. With the hospital, they did the brain scan and everything like that, and they were like, everything, you know, indicates that you've had a stroke. And I'm like, well, I remember a few months ago, my entire arm just hurt and I couldn't move it, and it was my left side, and it just went completely, like, it was very, there was something, but I was also very, 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 very high and just really didn't feel like getting off of the chaise lounge that I was lounging all around in, you know. So, and I think it just in a few hours went away, and gradually I had some incidents. Like, my vision got worse gradually. Like, my vision was bad anyway, but look. Okay, but so this is kind of cool. That's not the side that I'm looking at. Here we are. St. Mark's Church. Now, St. Mark started out downtown. I think I've shown a plaque over there before. So, and then this symbol here or whatever, I don't know what that is, because I'm not really Episcopalian, but I like, not at all. But now it's the Church of the Holy Cross. It is Episcopal, and it has been since 1954, but prior to that, it was St. Mark's Church. Uh, 1830, bit of history there. And I know this because for a while I worked at St. Mark's Cathedral, which is on Fairfield and Kings Highway. It was during that period that I was like really overworking myself, driving myself crazy with work, trying to comply with how I thought I was supposed to be, not knowing that I was supposed to give myself really a rest and that it's okay to say no. Because I really was trying to be everything to everybody and really trying to, I was proud of the work and it started out okay, but I just didn't take the rest. I would go to work in the health food and bakery for 3 hours, and I'd go next door and work for about 4 hours at a dry cleaner. So that was a 7-hour work day. But then I'd go around the corner to St. Mark's Cathedral because I had already been working there before I started the dry cleaners. So I worked there in the kitchen for a couple of hours, tidying up and cleaning for the ladies cooking guild and whoever else would use the kitchen. And then I went up to the 3rd floor of this great big Gothic building that this St. Mark's Episcopal Cathedral was, and did my best to clean every classroom for the school, all the hallways, all the stairs. And there were other people on the staff. Their workload was not increased. Mine was, because 2 of the other custodial and maintenance staff had left, and they just kept saying, "Oh, hey, will you do this?" And aside from doing all the stairways on 3 floors, all the vacuuming or something on all the floors, it was so long ago, I either had to do all the sweeping and mopping or all the vacuuming on the floors. And I think it was the whatever. I think it might have been the vacuuming, because it really seemed like. But I also had to do the parish hall, which was a big dining area off of the main kitchen. Then I had to do the gymnasium and the boys' locker room and the girls' locker room after school. And so sometimes my work day, which began at 10 a.m., I would work probably, and I wouldn't get home until like 2 a.m. And it was all from working. And I did that. And I didn't always work that schedule, but I did work that schedule for damn near a full season. Like really, like I started working at the end of one school year, when the kids were still in school. That's when I started working. And then as the other people left or whatever, I took over those jobs, those responsibilities. So 1, 2, 3 people left, and I was there with the kitchen, but 3 people left, and I took the job of 3 people, and I did it in what was supposed to be a part-time. So anyway, so about all I can tell you is this. From about 5 o'clock on, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, it's 7 hours. And there was really very little downtime. This was all in the neighborhood that I lived in South Highland, part of the Highland neighborhood, but it's over by St. Vincent Mall. But it's the South Highland neighborhood of Shreveport. So I would walk for a few blocks, get to the health food store, and the dry cleaners was right next door. And then the church was just a few blocks around the corner, basically. And then I'd walk home, and it was so late by the time I got home, and I was so tired and drenched and everything that I just, what suffered was my temperament and my willingness to have a little tolerance with the edginess of, and the partner that I was living with. You know, I think our relationship first suffered. It wasn't the only problem that we had, but we just didn't have time to work on those problems, right? It was a relatively new relationship, and we didn't really, maybe about a year or so we'd been together. Uh, by the time we moved into the new house and I started these jobs, and he worked at the cathedral. He was a organist. He's not there now. He's gone on to other organs. But yeah, it's like it was, it's not as if because of all the work that I was doing that I was really available, and I don't think either one of us really knew what was happening, the distance that was growing. But also, it wasn't like love, you know what I mean? Love survives things like that. I really wasn't in love, and I don't think he was either, and blah blah. And we even tried to remain friends, and we broke up, and I even stayed in the house for another couple of years as I worked and everything. So it was just, we were probably together about 4.5 years, something like that. But it ended badly. That was because at the time I didn't know how to end things on an okay level. It was back in that time. It was before I got clean. If I ended a relationship, and most like the people that I was with, we didn't. It's like we ended a relationship or a situation or something like that, or a season. It had to be, hey, there's fault somewhere. Instead of, how about, people sometimes just get busy and grow apart, and that's okay too if they evolve away from each other. There's two, you can evolve together or you can evolve apart. But, oh my God. And the anger wasn't about, oh my God, you're breaking my heart. The anger was about, I did all this work and either gave it to the house or gave it to the food or gave it to the trying to keep myself sane, but very little. I did all that work and had very little to show for it because it all went into that house, which was a nice 2-bedroom house with a little guest room and everything like that. But it was just fun. It was, whatever. It's water under the bridge. But workaholic, and what happened was I didn't have time to take care of me because I was taking care of all the part-time jobs and everything like that. And I'm grateful for it because boy did my it counted. Taxes took out, and anytime I ever worked a job or something, where I was paid tips for part of my wages and stuff, but I claimed it all. I didn't claim just the minimum that they would allow. I claimed everything. So yeah. So that sometime later, when I needed to retire, because I couldn't get the medication that I needed to make myself okay without insurance, and I couldn't get the insurance. At the time, I couldn't get the insurance without being disabled because Medicaid was very limited at that time. And so just whatever, I retired, would I ever go back to work? I would if I were insured that my insurance would transfer over and I would have the coverage that I need to stay medically compliant. But you can't do that if you can't get your medication. That's one of the reasons why we have so many people actually living on the streets, because, well, some of them are exhausted and don't know where to go. Some people are peaceful, happy wanderers. Okay, I will give you that. Some of it is choice. Most of the people that I know are living with a emotional or a mental illness, and they can't access the treatment that they need because there's not enough outreach going to the community. We count on people that live on the streets, that live outdoors. We count on those people finding their way into clinics. The hub has, and it's part of the St. Mark's van and everything like that. And I'm not a big fan of the Episcopals or Christianity in general, but I do know that some of what they do goes into these types of charities. I know that most of it goes elsewhere into pockets, but some of it does go to charity. And there's this St. Mark's medical unit that goes around different places throughout the month, and people can go there and they can get access to immediate physical, triaging. And what can we do to help with this? And it's more like, okay, this is what's going on, and this is the kind of thing that you need to do, what you can do. But it's a Winnebago, painted up Winnebago. You know what I mean? Some kind of crazy dog. Let me just walk my ass over here. I'm a little afraid of strange dogs that I don't know. Okay. There is a dog that lives a couple of streets over, and they let him run at night. I've encountered him when I was trying to go explore the cemeteries, because I do love to walk at night. Now, this is one of the things I'm doing, is out here walking around, avoiding smoking a cigarette, because I just recently quit smoking. But anyway, what was I talking about? Again, that mobile unit. So we want... I want to do what I can. They know they're barking at each other. So, what I want to do is I want to see about getting, information out there to the world that, what we need are outreach. People to go into, there are camps in some of these cities where people pitch tents and live under bridges and viaducts and everything like that, little tent cities or whatever, almost like, Scarface. There's a bunch of them living under I-10 down in New Orleans when I lived there, even then, there's a way to get out of that situation. You just have to, you can't make people do it. But yeah, if nothing else, if we could just start people on that road to mental health. Okay, damn if I don't steal. The dog feels like it's closer than before. Am I being stalked? Fun. Do you know, like that movie Wolfen? That's not fun. I actually was like bit by a Doberman when I was like 8 years old. But I wasn't bit. He just jumped up and snapped, and his claw caught me, and then caught some of the back of my head too. Big, huge claw. We went to visit, my sister and I went to visit a neighborhood friend who lived around the corner from us, and went into his yard and everything. And I often tell my sister, yes, it was traumatizing for me. But it was probably worse for you because you actually saw it happen. I didn't see it happen. I saw the dog come, but I didn't see anything getting torn. I just felt it, and I lived with the scar after it, but my sister had to see that. So I always figured, when it comes to being traumatized, she had it worse than I did for things like that. Also, for some reason, whenever there was like a horrific tragedy in the family or something, it's like my sister always insisted, or I don't know why. I don't know why whenever there was bad news, it was always my sister who was the one who was to break it to me. And it's like, all right, Oh. You know, uh, and it is true that my sister and I knew each other better than other people. That we knew each other better than other people knew us. So she would know how to approach me better with this kind of stuff. So that has something to do with it, because our parents worked and everything. But whatever. Okay. I think I'm gonna walk over by the river for a little bit. Um, I'm in the middle of downtown, and I've only been talking for about just over 35 minutes. So that's to let you know how close I was dropped off. But, everybody talks about how dangerous. I don't know. I feel like sometimes when people break out guns, it's because they're just being ignorant, like just standing on the corner, standing their ground. I got to stand my ground. Okay, how about whatever, just kind of shrug it off, walk away, let somebody look like a fool. I'm not really the kind of person that gets into a scuffle on the street, words or anything like that. I've got a couple of friends, and like, if there's a weird moment or something like that, with someone I'm not going to mention by name, but twice in the past 7 or 8 years, for reasons I don't know, this person kind of created a scene in the middle of a street, and I'm like, okay, because I'm not the kind of person to have it out like that in the middle of like I care about myself, and I care about how I look, and I care about how and I care about the other person too, and I'm not going to dress them down right in the middle of everybody. I'm not going to, so there's different people and different ways of communication, and including different ways of expressing consternation, and but yeah, I'm not saying that I can't hold my own in a battle of wits, but I'm just not going to do it right in the middle of Main Street, of any city or any town or whatever, any little burg, but anyway, I don't know how I got there. Oh yeah, we're talking about violence, the excessive gun violence. I just those things happen in the moments of great ego, and somebody pulls out a pistol here, maybe the other one's got, and and it's like, if you just could stop this argument in this moment before it escalates, go away, and and you can come back and you can work on it later in a couple of days or something like that. You really can. There's not something that can't be. You can work it out, or you can decide to write the other people off and say, you know what, it's not worth it. We're done. Go your way in peace. And I'm gonna, you could do that. If you shoot somebody, they're going to be gone from you anyway. So you may as well just write them off if you have to, and never mess with them again, and never let them mess with you, and never let them hang with you anymore. And you will have lost a friend anyway, but each one of you will still have your life. Although, mostly that doesn't happen. Mostly, people will reconcile some sort of something. You know what I mean? It's like, if it's a true friendship, if it's true love, true family, you find your way to something, even if you're never as tight as you were before. And I'm telling you, I am from a southern United States family with a lot of members, and I know I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's and you could do it without character assassination. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm not hanging with that person anymore. Fuck that person, or something. Whatever. It's like, you don't have to. You could just like go on, It's cool, you know. You don't, you know. Uh, these are the things that I want to do. I want to be like a peaceable person, you know. But there again, that's not even the point of this. My point is, I'm not smoking cigarettes, and that's why I'm out here walking. I'm carrying a backpack because I went to a meeting, 7 p.m. yesterday. Then there was a service meeting after, and I stayed for that. And then I came home, checked my mail, grabbed this bag, caught a bus, going in the wrong direction. It was downtown, but I caught it, and yes, it went downtown, and then it left downtown, and went way somewhere that I've never even heard of. Actually, I've heard of it, but it was a whole different part of, like the whole Pines Road area and everything. And it's like, wow, what am I just meant to go back to the terminal. I didn't, that's why I asked. I'm getting on downtown and I'm going to the terminal. And the driver was like, yeah, no, come on. Literally, an hour and 20 minutes later, right across the street, is the bus stop that I would have gotten on, and I would have been 15 minutes from the terminal. But anyway, nighttime buses run slower. But, learning a lesson, better timing and everything. It's fine. I enjoyed the time. Went to my gym, Planet Fitness, worked out, saw the guy behind the counter, Nick. He's got a YouTube page, something Louisiana Cars and something. He changes it every so often. When he changes his approach to his YouTube, he changes it. I'll tell you what. I'll put his name below, and you should check him out. He's a really cool dude. But he works at Planet Fitness, and saw him. I hadn't seen him in a while. We had a death in the family. Then we had a medical, what could have turned out to be really a serious medical crisis. But the person's home now, and yeah, we're good. So we're relieved that, yay, so I've just been, a little bit, and then keeping up with 12-step and everything like that. But I'll tell you, the thing is, it's like the care that the person got. I was so impressed that I'm like, I'm going to change primary care physician so that I can be part of this medical, this medical team, that has helped, because I'm telling you, the work that I've seen, was wonderful. I'm crossing against the light in the middle of downtown. So, I'm starting to sweat now too. But anyway, now I'm crossing with the numbers and the walk counting me down, like counting off the Oscars or something. Anyway, the healthcare was so great. I'm like, let me go there and get my healthcare. So that was wonderful. Then, that's kind of cool. That I live in a city that's got like more than one option for healthcare. Many options, and that is great because some of them take my insurance, which is a Medicare Advantage, and some of them don't. And what about people who live in a small little area? Let me get past this. Hang on. Actually, I love it. I don't really do like crowded clubs, but I love coming down here in the middle of the night and walking and everything. And on a good weekend's a good night to do it. Okay, so I love the activities. Next week, we're going to be down a couple of blocks over at Festival Plaza. We're going to be doing the Red River revel, looking at Shania Twain, and around this time of night, I will be, or morning, I will be crawling out of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So, I got 2 tickets. One's available. I'm offering it first come, first serve. Great. And then if someone, if I don't have, someone going with using the other ticket, then I will just offer it to someone at the box office. I'll be like, hey, come on in. I got you. That's called being miracled. I learned that from my friend who's a deadhead. She followed the Grateful Dead, and sometimes if you don't have money for a ticket, someone will miracle you in, and they'll be like, hey, come into the festival. But anyway, let's see. Just want to get to the river and meditate and chill out. I quit smoking. I've talked about that, and I said when I first talked about it, I said I was going to talk about it again. If you know me and you've been to my apartment, please understand that I'm not going to allow smoking inside of the apartment or out on my balcony anymore. If I don't know who follows that's connected to me or not, but just let that be the word that's put out. If I'm not going to smoke in my apartment, nobody's going to smoke in my apartment. Same rule goes for, because I don't drink beer or alcohol or wine. I don't smoke marijuana in Muskogee. I don't take my trips on LSD. No, it's like for real. It's it's not a party pad. It's a dinner party pad. I will have people over for food if they want to come, and I will feed the fuck out of people. But I'm not the place to come for a for substances. So, and that includes holidays. I know holidays are big time for celebration, and and I can go out with people to a restaurant and they can drink and whatever, and it won't bother me. But my place, my apartment, that's my sanctuary from all that. So it is also going to be a no nicotine apartment. As a matter of fact, I'm not even using a nicotine patch right now. They sent them to me. I used one, and to be honest with you, I don't know. I was like, if I have to, I will. But I'm really from the 12-step, cold turkey kind of thing. And there are some things you should go cold turkey from or step down from or something like that inside of a clinic. Severe alcoholism, you want to detox in a clinic because you can die from alcohol withdrawal and some other substances. I really just, what can I say? I really just want to be as healthy as I can be. And I'm at that age, I'm in my mid-50s, and, watching sodium, salt, and watching sugar, and watching muscle fat ratio. I would say weight, but I've learned that losing weight is great, but you also have to have a healthy fat to muscle ratio within that weight in order for it to matter, because you can be a thin person and have a lot of plaque built up from bad cholesterol in your systems and everything like that. So it's still got to work on dieting, walking out here. I'll tell you, I had one piece of chicken at lunch. I had a bag of, store-bought bag of mixed nuts that had 6 grams of carbs, and then I had a bag of potato chips. I had the nuts before my workout, these, and then I had the chips after the workout. And the reason I did that was basically, because I looked at the calories and it's like, this is not over 50 calories within a 24-hour period, so I can have this. So, and then by now my calorie count and carb count and everything is all started over, as it does. Officially at midnight, I give myself an hour before, or an hour after, whatever. And basically, I want to be good for my doctor. When I go back and see my doctor, I want to say, and I want him to look, and I want him to look at my blood and say that my blood's improved. And he has, lofty goals for me. He's like, really, really good A1C levels are between 4 and 5, And I'm like, yes, great, and I get below 6. Usually I hover somewhere between 6.0 and 6.2 or something like that, and they really, but this doctor is like, and talked about prescribing metformin if I should need it in the future. Right now, I'm not. I'm taking a statin that helps the body signal to the liver, hey, don't process and store this extra fat. Use what is needed and then move the rest of it out with the waste. That's what the statins are supposed to do. There can be a side effect of a type 2 diabetes with anyone who takes a statin. It can potentially be a side effect. So that is going to be something that I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to walk back and forth and be careful with my dietary and my physical, and my entire lifestyle has to be about, being healthy. You have these things to take care of, and oh my God, I used to hear people talk like this and think that's old people stuff, but I knew that not really. I can say that at 53, I feel in great shape. Look at the walk that I do. Look at the everything, but that high blood pressure is that silent killer, because that is at the root of a lot of things that doctors and surgeons and whatever have to tell us about later on. Hey, you had these buildups and these blockages and things that are happening because of high bad cholesterol. There's a type of good cholesterol that actually kind of breaks down the bad cholesterol and helps clear it. So you want to be careful about that and do that, and don't exclude that. But I wonder if too much of the good cholesterol can become a bad thing. But I hear that avocados have like the good fat, what we don't want to deal with. And I don't use a tremendous amount of unsalted butter, but I would rather use that than salted margarine or something like that. And when I do cook and I use a little bit of oil in the bottom of the pan, or even if I fry, I try to use liquid oils instead of lards or hard fats, because I'm told that that's at least a little better. But really, I'm going to be moving away from so much fried food, and I'm going to start getting into exploration of how to get to more baked foods, braised foods, things like that. Things cooked, without frying. Now, let me show you this. It's noisy as hell, but I love the way the train looks coming over this bridge. It's always been one of my favorite sights. And people love to come down and meditate over this river, walk and check it out. And whenever I encounter people, I try to give them their space. You never know, they might be out, having a romantic night or something like that. The fountain is going. It's no longer lit with those LED lights, but it would be cool if it were. But they didn't last. It was a nice idea. It looked cool for a minute, but But these fountains, holy hell! And I've got clothes. I'm not gonna go jump in the fountain, but I could if I wanted to. I don't see anything posting down there that says you can't come down here in the middle of the night. But also, why is it going in the middle of the night? I don't know. Seems like it should be on a timer or something. But it's new. It's new. It's not new, it's newly finished. It's newly redone. So we have these that are left on, but is there a sprinkler over here on this side that's not, or is it just, let me get over there and look. So from over here it looks like maybe there's more, but maybe it's just that. It's still cool. I love this view. It's nighttime. Not available while using other whatever. So anyway, I can't turn the I can't turn on the flash for my camera for the record because it's already in progress. So if you see this on your device and you want to run it through Enlighten for yourself, that's cool, whatever. Okay, I'm going to step down. I'm not walking all the way around. Sometimes when the rain gets here a little heavy, this will kind of pool around here, and it'll be kind of like a little horseshoe pond or something, and then we'll see some ducks come down here. I hope that they took some initiative to prevent damage from a flood that happened. The Red River will, like any river, flood, and so anything that's working down here to stay in a working condition has to be maintained. And I think for any town, for any community, you need a center that is, So maybe they just did those and they did not start this up. I don't know, I'd have to go back and look and see. But I thought in my memory, sometimes we remember things as they are, as sometimes our memory kind of gives us something else. But I thought that side was on in the video that I took where the kids were down here playing. I cannot have a water fountain beside my bed. I can't have that. You get those little things and you turn them on and you can meditate and go to sleep with it or whatever. I can't do that. Nature sounds do not put me to sleep. What puts me to sleep is listening to Jimmy Carr podcast on YouTube. Jimmy Carr's comedy specials or whatever. He's a very warped guy. His sense of humor is warped, but he's not serious at all. It's one of those British have like a complete irreverence to all things when they just come out of the gate full on comedic and will joke about anything. And the most to be honest with you, they've got more freedom of speech in England going on now than we do. You know, that's not to be political, because that has nothing to do with party affiliation. We've always been a little bit repressed, especially when it comes to things of a sexual nature or having a sense of humor. We've gotten really, you know, in a lot of ways oversensitive about things, and that's basically because sometimes the American mind, the collectiveness, has trouble discerning from a joke what is a punchline of a joke to what is reality. You know, I'm a writer of, you know, fantastical poetry and fiction. And I've held back for a very long time before I release stuff, because it's like, oh my God, what if people read this and think that because I can tell these really, really whacked out, messed up stories, people are going to think that's the nature of what I am. And no, it's not. There's actually really no point to a lot of what I would write and put out. Some of the poetry, some of it maybe, but then there's some of the poetry that's just straight up insane, and it's never anything that I've like meditated on or anything like that, but just it's like I heard a punchline. I'll give you this little spoiler, because I think maybe I've talked about it before. I know I did when I had my Facebook, and I hope you don't think any worse of me. I was living in New Orleans around Christmas, going into Christmas of 2013, and I'd been down there. I was down there for 9 or 10 months, but this was during the holiday season, and a group of friends and everything, and she was wearing like a half shirt, and the guy was like poking her. He was like, "Look, you got like a hooker belly," and he was like, "Have a hooker belly Christmas," and and I was like, wow. So I told myself I was going to write a song called Hooker Belly Christmas, or a poem, is what it turned out to be. And it's very Catholic oriented down there. I'm not Catholic, but you know, because it was, you know, inspired by all that Catholic, you know, everything, you know, that I wrote lyrics to a poem called Hooker Belly Christmas. And basically it has to do with the guy, because I've heard people talking about like just whacked out jokes, you know, snorting coke off of a dead hooker's belly. So that's kind of what the poem is about, Hooker Belly Christmas. And that's going to be included in my upcoming poetry book. But let me tell you that it is not, I'll just go ahead, it is not an example of how I think or how a person should act, or it's not a morality play at all. It is the most ridiculous concept that was put together from some people with a really warped sense of humor, but the most wonderful, kind-hearted people, you know, and Hooker Belly Christmas. And if I didn't include it in what I have already, I'm definitely going to. It's one of the things I'm going to do when I take this trip next week, is I'm going to focus heavily on completing and adding, looking around, seeing, is there more that I need to say in this particular collection? It's going to be a brief collection, a brief poetry, you know, maybe just, you know, almost an extended pocketbook of poetry, you know, not even novella length, you know. And some artwork, some of it you've already seen. Actually, almost right now, all of it you've already seen. But and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and get like some. I love how these are, you know, come out. I need to come down here and take some photos of some things that I'll be seeing. and I need to include that because it's like paintings and photos and things like that, so I can add more to my book to fill it out. But I would never just put something in my book because it's filler. You know, I want it to be germane to the creativity that I'm trying to impose upon, but also I got to come back home, and then I got to research how to actually set up the Amazon, which I want to self-publish on Amazon. And the reason why is because, you know, writers just don't make a living. You know, some do. It's kind of like being an actor. Hey. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't. Sorry. Let me see if I know that person.